Hey everyone, and welcome to Action Hero. I'm Adrian, and each day we're going to be taking you through the most exciting stories you've ever heard. And today's going to be epic. We're diving into a story called Midnight Run. It's urban fantasy at its best. I
Mm.
mean, we're talking magic monsters, a heist for the ages. It's got everything you could want.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia, and I'm so pumped to break this one down with you. What really grabbed me about this story was how it blends the familiar with the fantastical.
Huh.
Like, we're not in some far off kingdom. This is a city you could walk down the street, but with a hidden layer of magic bubbling just beneath the surface.
Yeah, it's so cool. So imagine this. You're dropped right into the heart of this city, and there's this incredible team of unlikely heroes getting ready to pull off this crazy heist.
Well,
We've got Rory, he's our lead. He's this sorcerer who's, he's kind of had a rough time, but he's trying to redeem himself. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Then we've got Max the shapeshifter, smooth as silk. He can turn into anything or anyone he wants. Pretty wild.
Oh, and don't forget Izzy. She's our tech whiz. She's a sprite. So tiny, but so powerful. She can slip through digital cracks like a ghost.
And what brings this crazy crew together is an amulet, right? This isn't just any old trinket. This thing is radiating with magic, and it's attracting some serious unwanted attention, especially with this eclipse coming up. It's going to amplify the amulet's power. They've got to get their hands on it before it falls into the wrong
Oh,
hands.
yeah. Speaking of wrong hands, we got to talk about the villain. We've got this warlock. He's obsessed with power, and he's got this whole plan to plunge the city into eternal darkness.
Mm.
Talk about high stakes, right?
Absolutely. And where does this whole heist go down? You guessed it, a museum.
A museum. And not just any museum either. We're
Okay.
talking high security, ancient magical wards,
Mm-hmm.
cutting edge tech, you name it, they've got it. It's this awesome visual, like old magic clashing with modern defenses. It's really cool.
I know in your notes you mentioned how much you loved that the museum wasn't just a backdrop. It was practically like a character itself. What
Yeah.
what was it about those layers of security that really got you?
I loved how each layer played to our hero's strengths. Like Max with his shapeshifting, he just slips past the guards disguised as the museum director. I mean, so smooth, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
And then you've got Izzy. She's practically invisible, so she's just dancing around security cameras, disabling them without anyone even noticing. It's awesome. But then there are the wards, those magical barriers. Those are a challenge only Rory with all his sorceress knowledge can handle.
Yeah.
What did you think about Rory's role in all of this?
You know what's interesting about Rory is that he's carrying a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
Like his past failures, his magic isn't what it used to be. It adds this real tension to his part in the heist. And remember, the amulet's power isn't exactly all sunshine and rainbows. It plays on those darker impulses, you know? It's testing Rory's willpower every step of the way. So he's not just fighting external threats, he's battling his own demons, too.
Totally. There's this constant push and pull with him. Like he's trying to do the right thing, but this dark magic is whispering in his ear. Does that classic hero struggle, but with his really awesome magical twist. And speaking of twists, let's talk about the vault where they've stashed the amulet.
Oh, yeah, the vault. It's not just locked up tight, it's practically radiating danger. I remember in your notes you mentioned this amazing detail, the case that holds the amulet. It's laced with contained curses. It's a trap within a trap.
It's crazy, and it takes all of Izzy's agility and her tech skills to get through the magical and physical defenses to unlock it.
It's intense.
And of course, the second that case opens, things go totally haywire. That's a good action story without a little chaos, right? The amulet flares to life and unleashes these shadowy creatures. They're like monstrous clawed things, straight out of a nightmare. Suddenly, it's not just about stealing the amulet, it's a fight for survival.
And this is where Rory's internal struggle takes center stage.
Yep.
He makes the split-second decision. It's a desperate move. He decides to use himself as bait.
Hold on, slow down. You're telling me this guy with his shaky magic is going to face off against a horde of shadowy monsters. How does he even plan to do that?
That's what makes this scene so powerful. Rory knows he can't win in a straight-up fight. He just can't. But he understands magic. He knows how these creatures work. So he uses the amulet's energy to draw them to himself. He creates this distraction. It's powerful enough to give Max and Izzy a chance to escape.
Wow. Talk about putting yourself on the line. So while Max and Izzy are making a run for it, Rory's holding off these terrifying creatures. I could practically see it. The blinding magic, the shadows swirling, the cops closing in on all the commotion. It's pure action movie gold.
And all of this is happening while the city sleeps completely unaware of this magical battle raging above them. It makes you wonder what secrets are hidden right in front of us, right? What mysteries might be lurking beneath the surface of our own world.
That's what I love about urban fantasy. It's that blend of the ordinary and the extraordinary. And speaking of extraordinary, we're going to leave you hanging right there. We'll be back soon to break down that crazy escape and what happens after Rory's selfless act. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Action Hero, where the action never stops. We left off with Rory facing down a horde of shadowy monsters to buy his team some time. It's a pretty intense cliffhanger, right?
Intense is an understatement. I mean, they're trapped in a museum, surrounded by cops, and these creatures are like something out of a nightmare. How do they even get out of that mess?
That's where the storytelling is just so good. I love how you weave together Rory's deep knowledge of magic, Max's raw physical power, and Izzy's technical prowess. It's like this symphony of chaos, but a beautifully orchestrated one.
Okay, so break it down for me. What does this escape actually look like?
Picture this: Max transforms into this powerful wolf, leading the charge through the museum. He's smashing through obstacles, overpowering guards, while Izzy's perched on his back, guiding him through the building's maze.
I love that visual. Max's massive wolf tearing through the museum with Izzy, this tiny sprite whispering directions and digital spells. It's a perfect blend of brute force and finesse. But what about Rory? Is he still holding those creatures back?
Absolutely. He's not just fighting, though. He's manipulating them. Remember, these creatures are drawn to the amulet's power, and Rory uses that to his advantage, keeping them focused on him, drawing them away from his escaping teammates.
Okay, but they can't just keep running forever. They're going to hit a dead end eventually, right?
And that's where the tension just explodes. They reach the rooftop, cops are closing in, and Max pulls off this incredible transformation. He shifts from a wolf into a bird, catching the amulet that Rory tosses to him just as they reach the edge.
Wow. What a gamble. It must have been breathtaking, Max, this majestic bird soaring into the night sky with Izzy clinging to his feathers, and the city below is just sleeping, completely unaware of the magical battle that just took place above them.
You mentioned in your notes that you were inspired by classic heist films for this scene. What was it about those stories that resonated with you?
It's that sense of improbable triumph, the feeling that no matter how dire the situation, our heroes always find a way to pull it off. And this scene just embodies that. It's a testament to their trust in each other, their ability to adapt, and their willingness to risk everything for the greater good.
Speaking of risks, Rory makes the ultimate one. He stays behind, allowing himself to be captured by the police.
Wait, he sacrifices himself. Why?
It's a strategic move. It's a selfless act. From the beginning, Rory knew he was the most expendable member of the team. He was the disgraced sorcerer, the liability. With the amulet gone and the creatures dispersing, he surrenders, knowing the police pose no real threat to him.
So he becomes the scapegoat, taking the fall to ensure the amulet's safety and his team's freedom. That's a heavy burden to bear.
And the irony is the news paints him as the villain, a dangerous mage who tried to steal a priceless artifact. The public eats it up, demanding stricter control over magic users. Meanwhile, the chat heroes Max and Izzy vanish into the night, their actions unseen, their sacrifices unacknowledged.
It makes you think about the nature of heroism, right? Does true heroism require recognition? Or is the act of self-sacrifice enough?
That's a question that runs through your whole story. You make us wonder about the hidden costs of heroism and the complexities of morality in a world where magic exists alongside the mundane.
This ending left me feeling a mix of exhilaration and heartbreak. But I can't help but wonder what happens next. What becomes of Rory? And are Max and Izzy truly safe?
That's where part 3 comes in. Stay tuned because we're about to unravel the final chapter of Midnight Run, and trust me, you won't be disappointed.
All right, we're back for the final part of Midnight Run, and the suspense is killing me. Rory's stuck in prison, taking the fall for the heist. Max and Izzy are out there with the amulet, but that eclipse is still hanging over their heads. It feels like the story is just getting started.
That's what I love about this story. Even though the heist is technically over, the real danger hasn't even begun. The warlock is still out there. He's just waiting for his chance to grab that amplified power during the eclipse. The stakes have never been higher.
So with Rory out of the picture, how do Max and Izzy plan to stop this guy? I mean, they're an amazing team, don't get me wrong. But going up against a powerful magic user like that, they're going to need more than shape-shifting and tech skills, right?
You know, in your notes, you mentioned that the city itself becomes a key player in this part of the story. And it makes sense. It's not just any city. It's a place where magic and everyday life are totally intertwined. Max and Izzy use that to their advantage. Max, with his shape-shifting, becomes their eyes and ears on the streets. He's gathering intel from the city's underbelly.
Oh, that's so cool. I could just picture him blending in, taking on different roles, moving through the city's hidden networks, picking up on rumors and whispers about the warlock's plans. It's like a magical spy thriller.
Exactly. And Izzy, with her hacking skills, she becomes their information hub. She's tapping into the city's digital pulse, piecing together the warlock's movements, trying to anticipate his next step. But they're not in this alone.
Wait, are you saying Rory's back?
Yeah.
But how? He's locked up in prison.
Well, like they say knowledge is power. Even behind bars, Rory becomes a crucial part of the team. His understanding of magic, his connections in the magical underworld, it all becomes invaluable.
So he's like their inside man, their magical consultant. I bet he's poring over ancient texts, deciphering clues, relaying information to Max and Izzy. It's brilliant. You managed to keep him in the game even though he's physically separated from the action.
And it highlights a different side of heroism, right? Rory might not be on the front lines fighting, but his intelligence, his strategic thinking, it becomes just as important as Max's strength or Izzy's tech skills. It shows that there are all sorts of ways to be a hero.
I love that. They become this three-pronged force, each working from a different angle to take down this warlock. It speaks volumes about their teamwork, their resilience. But tell me, do they actually manage to stop the warlock and save the city?
You know, you left the ending open to interpretation, which I think is a really powerful choice. The story doesn't come right out and say what happens, but it hints at a future filled with both danger and possibility. The eclipse comes and goes and the city survives, but that struggle between magic and the mundane, it's far from over.
It's like the story's just getting started. There are so many questions left unanswered. Will Rory ever clear his name? Will Max and Izzy ever find peace? Will the warlock resurface? I need a sequel.
That's what makes a story truly great. It stays with you long after you finish reading. It sparks your imagination, makes you want to explore those unanswered questions, and maybe even create your own answers.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this incredible journey through Midnight Run. It's been a wild ride. Huge thanks to you for sharing this amazing creation with us. It's been an absolute pleasure diving into this world you've built.
And to all you listeners out there, thanks for joining us on Execation. Don't forget to rate and follow for more epic tales of adventure, courage, and the never-ending battle between good and evil. We'll see you next time, action fans.